If not, we can go to the next slide, Trev. So I'll just explain everyone a little bit about Connected. So after I exited Real Sport, I was in a fortunate enough position to start making some angel investments and start advising startups, usually informally, but occasionally as a non-exec on one or two occasions. I was very familiar with all the issues that founders have when it comes to traversing the incredibly unorganized, messy and chaotic landscape that is the world of startups. But I was really surprised to see how chaotic and opaque it was once I became one of the grown-ups on the other side of the table, as it were. So I thought there was, not just in terms of finding good deal flow, but managing documentation. It's all so fragmented that it makes it very, very inaccessible as an asset class, I think, for a lot of angel investors especially. So thought that was a really interesting problem to try and solve. So in 2019, started building an operating system for the early stage called Connected. We were building that through 2019. We launched in February 2020. March 2020 lockdown hit, as you all know, so always an interesting time to bring something new to market. But we were actually quite fortunate with that in many ways, because the tools that we were building to try and make the ecosystem more efficient became a really nice option when people were looking for digital alternatives during that lockdown period and beyond. So we wanted to start with utility, really, for as many actors as possible, because with pure marketplaces, you're trying to solve for a few different things. You're trying to solve for creating a match between differentiated supply and demand, and you're trying to solve for transactional complexity. So if we look at a marketplace like Uber, for example, very, very easy in the sense of, I don't really care what car I'm taking. I don't really care who the driver is. I care about getting from A to B. So not very difficult to get a match. And also transactional complexity is very, very low. I don't need a long procurement process to decide whether I'm going to book this cab or not. From Connected's perspective, where we really benefit from in terms of the opportunity is we have incredibly high differentiated supply and demand. I'm not looking for any money. I'm not looking for any advisor. I'm looking for a specific type of investor. I'm looking for a specific type of advisor. Or if I'm an advisor or an investor, I'm looking for a very specific type of business, which I may be interested depending on my risk profile, my preferences, whatever it might be. So that's a really, really great opportunity for us. Where Connected initially struggled is transactional complexity. As you all know, joining a board is not a snap decision. It's not like getting an Uber. Investing into a business, again, is not like ordering from something from Deliveroo. So in order to fix for liquidity issues within our marketplace, and in order to really provide as much benefit as possible and to try and make those matches more efficient, we wanted to build utility for all the actors in the ecosystem, all with the view of helping them make and manage these meaningful connections. So we started with building a reporting suite for founders, which allows them to plug in different open systems such as banking, ERPs, payment solutions, to help them populate dashboards which they can use to drive insights into their own business and share with their own teams, help them discover things about their own business that they didn't know, share reports with existing investors, advisors, showcase themselves to new investors, for example. We built a portfolio management system for angel investors, VCs, and family offices. So in the same way you'd have an ultra consumable dashboard for a crypto wallet or for public shares, we wanted to build something fit for purpose for the early stage. We've just been co-building our legal intelligent document management system with a Google-backed legal tech called Contract Book, based out in Denmark, which we're launching back end of this month. So really focusing on that utility, layering in the marketplace on top, and then going back to my favorite topic, which is network effects. So rather than having to drive down the road of competing for very expensive click-through rates or conversion rates on social media platforms or Google, we've always focused on building the growth loops into our own technology. So founders are distributing reports to their investors. Their shareholders could be in San Francisco, Stockholm, Singapore, wherever it might be. Investors are using the portfolio management system to centralize all of their operations and have an overview into what they're doing, and their portfolio companies could be in, Nigeria, China, wherever it might be. So what we found is we've only ever targeted marketing in the UK, but we've got paying customers in about 18 countries now, which is really a testament to the network effects that we've layered in there. So hopefully that's useful to everyone to understand the sort of theory and practice behind how we've arrived at where we are with Connected and what we're trying to achieve there.
Thanks, Roy. When you say network effects, what are the nuts and bolts of that? How does that manifest itself?
So in its pure definition, a network effect is where a single member joining a community or joining a platform, for example, adds to the value of every member. So for us, for example, when we have a founder joining, it adds to our data set, which helps for aggregation and benchmarking. It helps every single investor because it's giving them more deal flow to choose from and more businesses to look at. Every time we add an investor, again, we're getting more data from them, which benefits the way that the system matches everyone. We're also getting more potential supply for every founder. So every member that joins adds benefit to every other member on the existing network. Where Connected is trying to become a tier 1 network in that sense is our users really achieve cross-border network effects. So because, for example, founders are happy to raise from investors globally and investors and advisors are happy to advise globally, if you can get a user who has multinational exposure, it doesn't just benefit the users in that one location, it benefits everyone globally. So we really have an opportunity to be a tier 1 marketplace in that sense, or market network in that sense.
Excellent. And you don't mean sort of referrals from the existing network as part of network effects? That's something different?
No, it's definitely part of network effects. So it's the way that a single individual can onboard multiple users at once. So there's lots of different ways of layering in network effects, but in its purest form, it's the idea that every single person who joins benefits everyone.
Excellent. We have Peter with a question or comment.
Yes. Thank you. It's just a question you mentioned there, Ray, about how you measure benefit. You say it's not about making money within Connected, but what are your primary metrics within Connected? Is it the size of the network or the number of successful connections, the longevity of those subsequent connections? How do you actually measure that so you know the business is going the right direction, or is it just a case of building it as big as you possibly can and then hoping that it'll have the right effects to the members?
Yeah, so for us, we're totally driven by connections. Our main goal is helping people make and manage meaningful connections. That means people discovering opportunities, discovering each other on the platform, but it also means them using the technology to manage their existing networks as well. So for example, the reporting suite for founders, we want that to be as useful in helping them keep all their investors in the loop at a click of a button as we do for them finding new ones. So it's making and managing meaningful connections. So amount of connections is great for us, amount of discovery is great for us, but also usage of the utility that underpins the marketplace as well. One of the really interesting things we see between the way that first and second time founders utilize the technology is we see second time founders utilizing Pulse in a much more efficient way because they've gone through the potential pain of not keeping investors in the loop before and what that might mean. So it's really interesting, and that's why we need to do so much education. And for us, that's one of the big challenges is how do you explain to a first time founder what good practice is when that sometimes experience is the best teacher. So we really see a big difference on that side, but it's a really interesting question, so thank you. Hey.